Hello there, IELTS students. Welcome to IELTS Podcast. You no longer have to worry, fret or panic about IELTS because we are here to guide you through this test jungle. Enjoy these IELTS tutorials, and if you need more help or want to access the famous online course, you can visit us at IELTSPodcast.com. IELTS vocabulary, renewable energy and sustainable technologies. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington, and in this very practical tutorial, we're going to look at the passive voice. We're going to look at pros and cons regarding renewable energy. You're going to hear a boatload, an absolute ton of topic-specific vocabulary collocations. We're going to look at model sentences. We're going to look at speaking part 3 questions and model answers. This will be insanely valuable for you if you are struggling with vocabulary and if you're struggling with ideas. Now, the way to solve your struggle with ideas is to get information about the topic. And this is a very effective, this tutorial will be a very high level, practical, straightforward way in which you can very quickly, in about 20 minutes, learn about renewable energy sources. You don't need to know it inside out. You just need to have a rough idea so you can at least, if we were talking, you could at least speak to me about it for a minute or so. That's all you need, okay? And it's a very easy topic to get your head around. It's not something so niche, but it's definitely recommended because the examiners, they're setting their questions, they're impacted by what's going on in the world, and a very, very frequent and important topic is climate change, and one of the solutions or proposed solutions towards climate change or regarding climate change is renewable energy sources. So you're going to learn about these right now in an IELTS context and get all your vocabulary. And also we're going to look at a grammar point called the passive voice. I've covered the passive voice before, but there's no harm in doing it again. Repetition is the mother of all learning. Before we jump into this class, let me just tell you who I am. My name's Ben Worthington. I'm from the UK. I recently came back. I have been outside of the UK for a long time. A lot of English people used to say I don't sound English, which is kind of infuriating. One Belgian person, actually, after I helped them in the train station in Valencia, Spain, they said, "Oh, your English is really good." So I just smiled and said, "Thanks." Yeah, this is what happens when you live abroad and you're not interacting with people from your own country and you're teaching English every day. And that's exactly what I was doing. And then I started finding students who were struggling with the IELTS. So I was like, and then I tried to teach it. I was struggling too. And then I quickly got my act together and started helping those students and gaining my competence, gaining my skills, improving them to the point where we are today. And we've got our AI essay checker. It's completely free. We've got courses to help you pass fast. And it's all centered around a very practical way to move forward. So let's jump into it. What are renewable energy and sustainable energy technologies? Well, these are pivotal. They are key to help us move away from fossil fuels. These include wind turbines, wind energy, solar energy, biomass, biogas, all of these are all different types of energy, and the general idea is that they're going to help us move away from fossil fuels, which are contributing to global warming because when they are used, when they are burnt, they give off CO2. Let's jump into it. So, passive voice. The passive voice is used, especially in academic English, to emphasize the action and the receiver of the action rather than the actual doer. So this is particularly useful in scientific and technical writing, and as I said before, academic writing, to focus on the process and the results. So if you're studying for IELTS academic, having a good grasp of the passive structure will be insanely useful for when we have to describe a natural process, for example. So here's an example sentence. The electricity is generated by the wind turbine. And this highlights, the process and the outcome without specifying who actually is operating the turbine. There we go. Let's have a look at some of the pros and cons regarding renewable energy. 1, it reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Now, as I said in a previous tutorial, you can't just leave it like that. You would have to say, this is because, or it reduces greenhouse gas emissions since it does not rely on fossil fuels. Okay? So see, these are the pros of renewable energies, but a lot of them will need developing, and you develop it by using because, since, and why, asking yourself why, and keep going down that little rabbit hole. Okay. Next pro of renewable energy: it decreases dependency on fossil fuels. It enhances energy security and supply stability. Side note, a good exercise here is to ask yourself or write down these points and then try and develop them further. And if you can't develop them further, just put what you wrote down into Google, start reading about it, and start getting into the practice of, after all of these pros, saying this is because, and try and complete the sentence. Okay. It supports local economies and job creation in new industries. This is because, pause, think, why? Why does it support local economies? It encourages local technological innovation and efficiency. This is because, it improves public health by reducing pollution. It promotes energy independence. It increases the consumer choice in energy sources. All of these are given as absolutes. You need to transform them into hedged statements. It can increase consumer choice. It often promotes energy independence. It can improve public health by reducing pollution. What are some of the cons? High initial costs for infrastructure and technology development, intermittency issues with solar and wind energy. This is because when it's cloudy, solar shuts down. When it's not windy, wind turbines cannot produce electricity. It requires significant land use for some technologies, impacting local ecosystems. How are you going to develop this one? Just think, pause. How are you going to develop that? It requires significant land use for some technologies, impacting local ecosystems. It can lead to a displacement of communities, especially in large hydro projects. This is because, it may face public resistance due to aesthetic and environmental concerns. In the UK, a lot of environmentalists were against wind turbines being put on the moors here, and one comment was that they chop up birds. I shouldn't be laughing, it's not funny, but I always remember one environmentalist saying they chop up birds. And this is obviously because as the bird flies through the wind turbines, the blade, if it gets unlucky, chop. Energy output can be less predictable than traditional fossil fuels. We kind of just mentioned that one before when we're talking about intermittency. And this one was better because we mentioned fossil fuels, which don't have as severe intermittency issues. Topic-specific vocabulary and collocations: energy efficiency, solar power generation, wind turbine installation, hydroelectric capacity, geothermal plants, biomass conversion, renewable resources. That's a great one. I love it when it's double-barreled, when they both start with the same letter. I find it easier to remember. And as I said in previous tutorials, a collocation like that, when we say renewable, there's a higher percentage chance of using resources than another word. And because we know as native English speakers and higher level English speakers, because we know that there's a higher chance, we're half expecting it, and that eases, it makes listening to somebody who's using a lot of collocations, it makes listening to them easier because we're expecting what they say next. Sustainable development goals and green technology adoption. Some great words. Let's have a look at these in context. Solar power generation is increased significantly when energy efficiency measures are implemented. Wind turbine installation has been completed across social regions to harness wind energy effectively. Hopefully you've noticed these are mainly, most of them will be in the passive structure, just to get you familiar with it. Wind turbine installation has been completed across coastal regions to harness wind energy effectively. So we don't know who installed them, and we don't need to in this specific sentence. The main focus is on what happened, which was wind turbine installation, and that's what's a useful feature of the passive structure. Geothermal plants are operated to provide a constant supply of energy due to the Earth's heat. Beautiful. Biomass conversion into energy is seen as a crucial step towards achieving sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals are achieved through dedicated international cooperation. Again, probably want to hedge that. Are often achieved. A reduction in harmful emissions is ensured by the adoption of biomass conversion techniques. Fancy sentences these. New standards for energy efficiency are set by regulatory bodies to promote green technology adoption. Super. Let's have a look at speaking part 3 questions and model answers. Why is renewable energy considered important for future generations? Now, you may want to just pause this before you hear my answer. Try writing down a few points. If you're alone, pause the recording and speak your answer. And I strongly recommend you speak your answer, because what happens with a lot of us is like we say, I could easily answer that. And then when you actually do it, when you actually start opening your mouth and speaking your words, you're like, nothing comes out. And the only way to solve this is by actually doing it. Actually pause and recording now and answer this question. Why is renewable energy considered important for future generations? Here's my answer. Renewable energy is considered crucial because it ensures a sustainable and stable environment for future generations. Technologies like solar power generation and wind turbine installation play key roles in this, significantly reducing the reliance on fossil fuels and also decreasing pollution. Should governments invest more in renewable energy infrastructure? Again, pause the recording, give yourself a minute. Pull out your phone, set the timer for 30 seconds or a minute. How long can you talk about this? Should governments invest more in renewable energy infrastructure? You know, I remember one student, she really struggled with nerves and she knew the topics. She had ideas, but when it came to actually talking about it, she stumbled. This is incredibly common. The way she solved this was getting a list of topics, speaking questions. She did this for both the IELTS writing and the IELTS speaking, and jotted down a few ideas of each one. And then for the speaking, she went through these, and with the ideas in front of her, she started talking about them. Of course, when she got no ideas, she went online and researched it. But she got the questions, then she jotted ideas. If there are any blank spots where her mind goes blank, she goes online and she researches it, comes back. Now she's got a few bullet points. And then stage 3 was going through every one of them, talking aloud, and then using the actual bullet points. And stage 4, was just looking at the questions and talking about the topics without the notes. So it's just taking small steps towards getting to that speaking competency that we need. And she did all of this alone. A side note, if you want to do this, what you can do nowadays is transcribe your answers. You can use your phone for this, using the dictation function. You can use other software, and then get your answer transcribed into Google Doc, and there you're going to get it corrected. You're going to see the errors that you make. Next question, What are the main barriers to adopting renewable energy technologies? The main barriers include high initial costs, technological challenges like energy storage, and even public resistance to changes in the landscape. However, these are being addressed through advancements in technology and increased public awareness. Politician-style answer that. How have sustainable technologies changed in the past decade? Over the past decade, sustainable technologies have evolved rapidly. Solar panels have become ever more efficient and less expensive, and wind turbines have been enhanced for better performance. This evolution has made renewable energy more accessible and practical. Is renewable energy common in your country? Very, very, very common question this. Does XYZ happen in your country? Alright, in my country, renewable energy is becoming increasingly common, thanks to government incentives and growing public awareness of environmental issues. Projects like hydroelectric capacity expansion and wind turbine installation are becoming more prevalent as part of this push. There we go. So hopefully you've got more ideas now about renewable energy, the technology behind it, and renewable energy sources. Hopefully you were taking notes. Hopefully you've implemented some of the actions I was suggesting, such as pausing, answering it yourself, discovering your own weak spots. And yeah, this is, I'm trying to help students who are struggling on their own, by themselves, who can't afford an academy, or don't have faith in the academy, or don't have time in a language academy or whatever. That's why I try to make this tutorial as practical as possible. And if you did get some value from this, I didn't charge for it. All I ask in return is that you share it with some friends. Maybe post it on Facebook or whatever social media you're using. It would help me a lot, and it just helps us spread the word, that you're not alone doing this. And you can go over to IELTSPodcast.com. You can sign up. You can get more material, more tools, more help. You get a free course, tutorials on how to use the AI essay checker, and we're bringing out some speaking products soon that I'm very excited about. So that's it from me today. I'm wishing you a beautiful day and all the best with your IELTS preparation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.